All right, we're good to
All
go.
right. We're good to go. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming. Okay, so first up on the agenda would be the approval of the minutes for October 12th. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
Okay, and may I have a second? Thank you, Jim.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any dissents? Okay. All right. Next up is special report. Scott sent his monthly report last night. Does anyone have any questions? And of course, Scott, I have a question. So if you look at the Club Street report, I believe you just made errors in the dates. Can you look at the very bottom of that and see, was it just the months are off? And I guess what's the latest status on that? Everything else was very clear.
Yeah, it should be 10,
but it could have just been because the dates were off. It looked like there were 2 Septembers and.
Yep, it should just be 10/23 and 11/23. I'll read it and I'll make that change and put it in the report file.
So what's the latest status, since I don't have that in front of me? I just made a note on my agenda.
The latest status on the Club Street on the New York Forward portion is Dan and I met with MJ Engineering yesterday. It's one of the finalists that made the cut. They asked for a bunch of information to be more defined for their meeting next Thursday. So we met this morning at 9 o'clock with Edgewater, and Ben's already got us some nice information and proposal for them for their meeting. So I'll get that off to them tomorrow and go from there. They just wanted like a more defined, like we put landside utilities for a budget, and they wanted to know like how many feet of electrical wiring and lighting and how many feet of drainage, which is kind of odd because the application says it don't need to be that detailed, but so we went along and did it anyway. So Ben did all that today. They wanted like photos of each, like when we said we were going to put in playground equipment. They wanted to see pictures of sample playground equipment that we're going to put in. We talked about a pavilion. They want to see a picture of a sample pavilion. So
Okay, so that's the New York Forward, but the one I had the question on was Club Street.
Club Street, that is the Club Street project for the town. We submitted a New York Forward application. But as far as the Club Street LWRP,
right, that was where there was the date problem.
We're just waiting for the town approved Edgewater's contract at their last meeting. Then we're going to schedule another meeting with Edgewater and the committee to authorize final design and discuss what that design is going to be. So Edgewater can move forward with the construction design and documents.
So has the village, or I'm sorry, the town actually have agreements with Trottier and with Captain Jack's owners? Is that done?
The town has signed agreements with both of them and have deposited money to both of them for the purchase. Provided to help Dan and the town provide a bunch of information to bond counsel because they needed some additional information to go to the bank to bond some money to complete their share of purchasing the properties and the remainder of the grant local share. So that was complete. I think it's the town's intention to schedule a public hearing for short-term financing in November and close on those projects in December.
Okay. Dan, anything you want to add to that?
No, that's the plan. Both sellers want to close before the first of the year. So.
Oh, good. That's good news. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for Scott on his report? Okay, Pam, update. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead,
If
Scott.
you wanted, I can log into Zoom and share my screen and you can see the plan that we put together.
Oh, for Club Street?
Yeah. You can keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I think people would be interested to see that.
Okay, if you wanna keep going, and take me a minute to log in and share my screen.
Yeah, maybe while you're doing that, Pam, do you want to give us any update on New York Forward?
From the last meeting. They're whittling down the projects. The projects are all on display at the village office and online. If you want to see what is in the final running, I guess it's called the final running. So yeah, I mean, it's really in New York Forward hands to a large degree. So,
And are there enough projects to use up all the money that we reported?
yes,
They
I mean, as long as they don't get bumped out, that should be yes, right?
Yeah, they have about, if you look at the proposal, they've got about $7.5 million that they're gonna put in their strategic plan to submit to the state. It's due to the state November 17th, so they're submitting it after their next meeting. And so the state will pick the final winners, out of the $7.5 million they're submitting. The state will select which one they want to fund. So that's what's on there, like $7.5 million. Town projects and village projects. A couple projects for Cape Brewery, a couple projects for Freshtown Market, the Chateau, some of the private projects that I saw, gym, new exercise fitness gym equipment for somebody.
Yeah,
Related
Pam,
to-
there was, I know I saw I got the, did I forward that email to the board so people could see all the online stuff?
I'm not
I
sure.
thought I forwarded that.
Did anybody get that?
And that, I don't remember it. Could you re-forward it? and just-
Yeah, let me take it to do that. I'm sorry. I know I got it from the Arts Council, so I'll send that off. Just because you can look online and you can also answer some survey questions with your points of view. So I'll look for that tonight and get it out.
Related to the New York Forward, one project that got bumped out was the childcare project, Todd Ewing's project, and the village board thought that I should bring that to this group to see what could be pursued. I don't know when that falls into place. We have to do our mission statement and then or our strategy, but it would be great if we could help him get through, beef up his plan for whatever next funding comes available. Whether it's childcare or not, that is a pretty tough one. I
The
think.
problem,
I would,
the problem there is with his design and plan is not going to happen. Is him having a bottom floor childcare and an upstairs apartments, whatever, it can't happen. It will never get funded, and if it gets funded, it will not get approved for childcare.
So, and I think he's not,
And getting through to him
okay,
is
part of the problem.
problem, yeah, so.
So whether, if he wants to talk about a different type of
Yeah.
first floor arrangements, we do need more commercial space, but whether
It,
that's the
shared space
project or
isn't
not,
allowed for childcare
that
facilities
would
like
make
that.
sense. yeah.
So that's what they had told us at that meeting we
a
had.
developer that's building a 44 unit apartment building and the whole bottom floor is a daycare.
We might want to check in the New York State laws.
Oh, they're.
That's what
They're funding
Okay,
it.
okay.
HCR and there's.
That's what they had told us, and maybe something changed, but that's what they had told us at that meeting we had last year,
She was from the.
CPC. So it's separate, it's not funding portions, but to have, from her, what she said, to have a certified childcare, it can't be a shared facility. You can't even share it for like after school activities and childcare. It's very strict with some of the New York State laws. That's what she had said to us. So it maybe something has changed, but
Is it New York Forward? Maybe.
no,
criteria?
no, it'd be childcare laws.
So maybe we can just put it on the agenda for next time and we can do a little more research. I didn't mean that we had to cover it tonight.
No, I just-
wanted to bring it
I know
up
there was
so it
some-
mentioned, but
Was it his proposal declined by New York Forward?
By the
committee,
selection committee.
Or did they give any reason why?
not no business plan.
Okay.
I didn't see the actual documentation and wasn't a voting member of that group, so.
I was copied on an email. He's not happy and probably gonna make an issue of.
No, he's not been happy from the beginning, and I think
He's probably gonna make an issue on some of the projects you select. they selected.
Yeah, fairly so. I think the process wasn't very, he learned about it at the last public meeting for New York Board, and there should have been a better system in place at him to. Because I think his was the only one that got bumped out. Initially.
Yeah.
Or earlier, I don't know.
Okay. There, I think there's just, maybe doing some business planning would be helpful for him to
Right, so maybe.
fully
that's-
understand everything too.
And maybe we could help with that portion of it.
Well, I guess the question would be, Pam, for this board to, where we might be a party to this. Obviously, we have done a survey, and we understand that there's, although it was incomprehensive, we know that there's a need for childcare in Cape Vincent. I guess the question would be, what did the town want us to do?
To help move his project forward any way we could. They didn't have any recommendations. They thought this group was looking to do, was looking for things to do, is what they said. We're looking for things to do. They wanted to give us something to do. So that's what, in a good way.
No.
Well, I guess the question would be, certainly our responsibility is economic development. And having childcare would be economic development. I think it feels like there's a step before the grant, which would be to get him, somebody from the Small Business Administration. I know there's small business groups in Watertown that would help him to put together a business plan.
He did work with them, apparently. They helped him do something, but whatever it was not adequate, according to a member of the committee that I spoke with.
Okay.
So, but I think maybe that's part of our, when we're trying to figure out our mission for the next few years, that is, we could maybe somehow provide people that are trying to bring something to Cape, whatever their missing pieces are, whether it is the SBA or whatever it might be. So I think it's kind of premature for us to do anything specific right now, but maybe in the coming months, as we work this out, we could give him some guidance. If that's what we determine we want to do.
Yeah.
So really, like, for us to potentially be a liaison of, for business resources and consulting services.
Correct. I mean, they also said maybe there was some additional grant that he could get that would help fund the project. But meanwhile, we have to find out if this project is fundable. If it's already, people are already saying that it might not be because of the mixed use. That'll be a critical component. And then since he's out of New York Forward, maybe he wants to go forward with another proposal for just a mixed use commercial building, mixed commercial on the ground floor. That doesn't solve the child care issue, but
No, doesn't.
just another.
I guess what I would, oh, go ahead, Jim.
Oh, just a quick observation on this thing. No question that daycare is a needed thing, and everywhere that's the case. But given the, shouldn't he be required to give a business model of the daycare, because it's not the availability of daycare issue per se, it's the affordability of it. And does he make in his application something that strengthens the reality of how much that's going to cost to make it successful? Because a lot of times people come in and say daycare is automatic, but actually, automatic subscription, people are going to flock to it, which they want to, but then price is a stall a lot of times. Has he said anything about where price would be in his operation?
No, I think that's part of the problem, is that he only had preliminary information and a concept, and the New York Forward timeline was so tight, everybody had to get something in. So I think his project, it probably should have fallen out based on the amount of information was available, because you're totally right. I mean, there has to be some analysis that you have a profitable or a business plan that works. So.
Well, yeah, and I mean, that was sort of my understanding of New York Forward, was it was supposed to be something that was fairly far along, and you were, in my wording, putting some wind in their sails as opposed to, I've got an idea. Would it,
Right. And he
would
had
this
more,
board,
he did get a lot done, but not enough.
well, I guess would this board be a suggestion, be comfortable having Scott, using some of Scott's time this year, right? Like in the near future, to come up with a list of possible grants that would possibly fund daycare and the criteria that would be needed just to provide information to him so he sees what he needs. Would that be
But
something?
are we at that point? I don't want to be an unpaid consultant. I mean, because anyone can come to us who wants any business and say, we need you to do the homework on my behalf. And not to say we won't do it down the road, but should we not first get our strategic plan mapped out so we know what the scope of childcare means to this board and what we're going to focus on, because we can be chasing butterflies in all different directions with all different types of people who want to open up businesses in Cape. Now, I do think your point, Mary, about resources for private business people, that would be beneficial for us to have on a website, maybe, Joe. What are those business resources that individuals can go to independent of the board, but it could be on the website as an informational page? I think that brings value.
Yeah.
But I get very hesitant to specialize or support one particular business over another. You know what I mean?
Until we have our framework, our mission plan that says specifically what we'll do
This
for
is
everybody, yeah.
And honestly,
I-
when I spoke with him to even write the letter of support, he has no desire in running a daycare. He wants somebody else to come in. He's literally just wants a building that somebody can use and rent from him to use a daycare. So he's
He
so
would just be the
far,
placeholder.
he's so far down, not even ready to have that discussion about daycare, because he has nobody that wants to run it. He hasn't found anybody that says, hey, Carol's gonna run it, I'm just gonna have it, so she's gonna do the business part. And she's gonna do the daycare part. He has none of that.
Because
And
that
he's
would
approached
work
many people
if that
and
person
nobody
existed.
has bought it.
So his idea is to make a space that somebody else
That
will come.
literally
He
is his
wants to
own
be
business.
real estate owner.
That's literally, I think, all his business plan is right now. So I agree. I don't think we should waste our time chasing this down when
Right.
he's not that close to even having it. I know he knows there's a need for childcare, and I appreciate that he's like, I'm gonna try and get a space, but he doesn't have anyone to run it. And that's the same issue that we came up with when we had that meeting before. We don't have anyone that wants to run a center or even a home daycare.
Yeah.
So I think we're too far.
So
Yeah,
Pam,
that
can you take those concerns back to the village board?
Yeah,
But I agree, like linking him up with a small business development center, and if he can get a partner that actually wants to run the daycare, then we might have some more leverage to get moving in the right direction, but.
There might be others out there that, once we put our strategic plan together and childcare is part of our
Right.
initiative, and we advertise that or publish that on our website, it may attract other business entities that are like, wait a minute, this might be a good community for us to make an investment in because of the Economic Development Board wants it. So
Right.
it's the chicken and the egg scenario, I think.
Okay, good. Well, thank you, Pam. If you can take that message back to the town board or village board, I'm sorry. And just, let them know kind of what the conversation was about this. And you can always, when Jeannie does the minutes, you can also, give a snippet of that to them. Thank you.
Mary, one quick other
Yes.
point that Pam raised, I think is a good one for going forward. We might want to resist the temptation to be so customized for individual applicants, and putting generic information that's still pointing in the right direction for everybody on the site probably is a good way to meet the service needs of what we want to project, but not the workloads or the expense on doing that. That's little to no expense to put that up and make it available for people like that.
Yeah, we just have to find somebody from the board who's willing to do that research to give Joe the information to put it up. So who's willing to step forward and do that.
Just look for business services,
Yeah,
is what you mean, Mayor?
well, yeah, that was the suggestion, was that we create a, you know, a list of business resources where we're linking off to various things like, you know, the phone number for Small Business Administration in Watertown and anything else like that.
Would we want to look, scope this far out for me, what you're thinking? State resources and then regional resources, county resources, something of that nature?
Yeah, that's, I mean, I thought that was a suggestion that was being floated. I think it's a good one.
Yeah.
I don't think we wanna, have any private businesses in there, it's just state government,
County.
county
Yeah,
businesses.
that makes
because-
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would
it's
think
gonna be
the
a handful.
IDA.
I feel like the Clayton LDC has that on theirs.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so who's got the to-do to go find that and get it to Joe?
I can do that. I'll do it.
Thank you, Jeannie.
And I'll
All
go
right,
with
Scott, and
the
so,
other, board right away.
So,
Let's go to the least path of least resistance.
so Scott, thank you for putting up this concept plan. Do you want to take folks through it?
yeah, so quickly, they wanted to see just what the town's request was. They wanted to take out the village portions, the LWRP portions, the other part of the projects that were being funded by other agencies. So specifically, we put in a $1.1 million project. Included A is like we were asked not to call it a splash pad, so it's a water feature flex space that can be used in the wintertime. We talked about putting in one that has like a bumper around the side that you can make an ice skating rink and have a nice ice skating rink on the waterfront. Structured stadium seating. I got some pictures of a fire pit area. The entrance sign, a pavilion up there in the top left. The walkway over to the other dock systems and playground area. We took out the bathrooms because right now the town doesn't have a memorandum of understanding to use bathrooms in the housing project. There's no agreement yet in place, so they kind of veered us away from that. So the next one is, you can see on the left, I don't know if you can see, so that's what a splash pad on the waterfront looks like. Kind of a play area to let people cool off, and then below that, stadium seating. We're talking about 2 layers and a total 360, so you can sit and look out over the water, or you can sit and watch your kids play. Kind of a wood feature that would match the pavilion, kind of a natural feature there that's all the way around and allows people just to gather and sit and enjoy the waterfront.
Where's that on the map, Scott?
B right on the waterfront. Up
Okay.
top
I
there.
see it, yep.
I
Yep.
see.
Is the building that's there, that's not labeled next to 2 cars, is that the apartment now?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like A and pavilion is kind of where Captain Jack
Captain
is, right?
Jack.
Okay.
Yep. So that would all be where Captain Jack is now. And then the fire pit area, we did make this, the town was committed $250,000 towards the 1.1 million, so we only asked for 850,000 in grants. They were big on, they won't fund anything that's, their comment was can be taken to Canada, so we'll buy the chairs and the seating areas that are removable and can be put away in the wintertime. The fireplaces will be brick in the ground, solid fireplaces, and that's an example of like a welcoming sign that you see through and keeps the view open. It's a type of, there's an example of an open air, low profile pavilion that don't take up a lot of the view, being that it's low profile, it's pretty open, but allows people to gather outside of the weather shade. On the waterfront, and then some crushed walkable paths in the play area. And then just some type of natural playground equipment. And then there are some bollards on the entranceways, so if they do not close the road, if the road's open to traffic, we can put those up so no motorized vehicles can get down in there where the kids are playing and people are walking. There's the breakdown of the budget. Estimate from Edgewater, we split some of those with the village, because some of the full budget that they provided with a concept plan included work on Club Street and on the other side of Club Street with the Village Green. So we split that up, and that was part of the village's request, so we kind of just split them up 60-40 along the way. And then there's a breakdown of, they wanted specifics on the 196 for utilities, so it's just mainly sewer, water, drainage, stormwater, lighting, fixtures, poles, foundations. So that's what we got, before, this was quick because they wanted it by Friday so they could get it out to other board members, but before the 17th, when they submit, we're working on actual renderings where it'll be, pictures of our waterfront with those imposed on it, so you'll see what it'll look like from the ground level. So as soon as I get those, I'll share them with everybody once it's approved by Dan and I and Ben, and how it looks. I'll share them with everybody, but short term, we did this quick because actually they were leaving tomorrow morning for meetings, and so we did it today for us. We met at 9 and he got these done by 2 for us. So, and that's what they asked for, is just examples for now, and told us we could give them the renderings before they submitted the final plan. So some members of the Forward LPC committee had questions, didn't know what we were talking about or wanted to see specifics. So hopefully that answers their questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Scott?
Is the Village Green, are there gonna be upgrades to that done in this plan too?
That was one of the applications too. Village Green had a $70,000 project for
Just to
improvement.
do upgrades there to
Yeah.
enhance it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, thank you very much. Over to the officers report. Treasurer, Carol, over to you.
There's no financials or bank statements done for October, just because October ended yesterday and I couldn't pull it off. The Paris budget, however, was submitted on October 23rd. I sent them to Joe to post on the website.
Yep,
They're up.
they're up
Okay,
there, yeah.
look at that.
Mhm.
That's great. That feels good to just have something that we have to do done
Yay.
on a deadline. We did get our debit card. So that's nice too. So for example, QuickBooks will be paid by debit going forward. So that's one of those monthly things that'll just happen. So that leads into the bills to be paid, and I made a little document. So for November, the checks that I recommend we pay are Dryden Insurance for commercial fire and liability for $217.16. WCP Consultants, November bill, $28.12.50. Dominic D'Angelo, November rent, $150. And QuickBooks, which is the recurring debit, $64.80. So that comes to $32.44.46. So I'd like to make a motion that we pay these. And
Yes.
a second by someone. I'll second. And then I'm gonna just give this right to you, Jeannie.
Okay, thank you.
And then all in favor and pass part. All in favor?
Aye.
So does that work for everybody? I made a little
Yeah, that's
form.
great.
Okay. It feels more comfortable that we're, yeah, okay. Let's see. Oh, the investment thing. Well, I did request a meeting and they called me and so I spoke with Kathy Seville, as I emailed you guys. And we're not eligible due to our corporate status. She described a workaround, which would be messy at best. And at this time, since the town and village are not even participating, it's not even an option. This is probably something the town and village should look at, however, I mean, because it is good interest. But, still, it's not FDIC guaranteed, and our board, our bylaws require our investments to be FDIC guaranteed. So that's not gonna work for us at this time.
I think the village and town would require.
You would think,
So
but it's for towns and villages,
right.
so I found that
Maybe there's
kind of
a
odd.
loophole that they're
They're all municipalities in it. I mean, there's a ton in it. We're moving to it.
not- Okay. I
Yeah,
did bring it up at our village board meeting, but,
yeah.
I didn't really have enough information.
I mean,
chat
it is,
about it for sure.
it's good money, you can
Yeah.
move it on, I mean, you have to figure out how to use it, but.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Like anything,
Jefferson County has a ton of money in it.
yeah. So anyways, at this point, it's not gonna work for us.
Until we get it.
I'll add that to it. just
Plus,
to-
nor do we even have our 501c3, but it's not that, we can never do it because we're not a municipality that
Right.
is allows for that, so.
Right.
I didn't know if LDCs could or not, that's why I had to
Yeah,
ask.
so
I mean,
that's-
it was worth that.
Sure, yeah,
Is 3/4, 1 point higher, was that? the-
yeah, and it's not hugely higher, so I mean, I think that takes us back to, 4.25 for 6 months at,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and I
Without
would
all the
suggest,
hassle of trying to.
without anything and not, yeah, and I mean, if we wanna go this path later, but that would be after the village or town, you know, plus they have to hold our money, it has to be kind of like a loan thing, we make entries.
Yeah.
We don't actually get the check then because it's going there and it's in their name in a fund for us for future.
The major benefit of it is it's just like a savings or checking account, not a CD, so your money's not tied up for 6 months.
Right, but get it out.
They're paying those
Yeah.
rates with just an open
Regardless.
account.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I see.
so as a town,
It's like a consortium.
yeah, so with the town, you can put all your money in there and each month when she pays your bills, she can transfer it over to the account your trusting agency doesn't pay your bills. It's not like tied up for 6 months.
Right,
That's the
go
major
online, move the money, it's
Right.
kind of, you know, once you figure it out, it works simply, but, yeah.
So,
So I
so
really think the
Carol,
village of town should look at it, for sure,
Yeah.
and that.
so
maybe
Carol,
that's
does
because
that
they
bring
have
us back to a
before.
CD then?
Yes, I believe it does, and, I mean, last time I did that quick math, nothing's changed. So I was thinking 65,000 leaves us 30 to spare for 6 months, just to not go overboard and see how it, you know.
I concur.
Mhm.
So I guess that would be, my suggestion is have me put 65 in for 6 months and go, at least get something.
I agree.
So I guess I'd like to make that motion as well.
Okay.
In addition, you get the town.
So
money.
the only pause I would have is we do have a couple of other discussions that would involve money further on in the agenda. And so I'm curious as I think about, you know, for example, you know, Mandy and Bill, the part you're going to bring up, and we'll have some money discussions in the executive session. I hate to kick the can down the road, but before we make a motion on it, I wonder if we should have those discussions. What do others think? I just don't know if 65 is the right amount.
Well, maybe we don't specify the amount, but we approve Carol to enter into a CD after this board meeting or for January 1st or.
Yeah, oh, I like that. I like that. How do others feel about that? We could just authorize her to put, you know,
Yeah.
an appropriate amount in a CD and that way she can get moving on it. How do others feel about that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
can we have a motion on that, please?
I'll motion. I don't understand the motion. Can we repeat it?
that we're
Oh.
gonna-
I'm sorry. I thought your motion was specifically for the 65.
It was, so what is the new motion for?
To approve your ability to invest money in a CD, not a specific amount, but to give you authorization to put money in a 6-month CD on behalf of the board. Would that be correct?
The amount to be determined.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Right,
We probably need to have a
Can we
number.
say,
I would just wait to the end of the meeting
Yeah.
after you get out of your executive, and if you have a number, do it that way, so it's in the records on what you were authorized to put in.
so
there.
let's just
Yeah.
hold that whole
Yeah.
motion for now. Retract it?
A motion to retract it.
Okay.
Okay.
Zoom renewal, that was renewed as well via debit card, so, and, Joe's got it changed into a Zoom that's under our Kate Vincent Zoom something email, and I see my name's up there, cause the debit card's in my name, so that's why.
Yeah,
that's
and
all
just,
tied together.
yeah, just so folks know, so on our Google Drive, there are a set of instructions. If anybody from the board needs to schedule one, so for like a governance meeting or a finance meeting, also how do you start it? So, and it will always say Carol because the debit card's in her name, we didn't have a choice. But it does allow all of us to be able to now schedule them and so it's a little bit more democratic, so. Okay, and then the last part under treasurer was the membership in the Executive Development Council. There was also a request from Scott to pay for his travel to that, but he has withdrawn that request, so we don't need to discuss that. I will tell you that I did speak with Christy in Clayton. Clayton currently does not belong to this particular organization. The cost is $850. Scott, had some positive things that he thought it would be beneficial if we had an executive director, which of course currently we do not have. Anybody have any strong feelings on this? Should we wait to discuss it later? What are you thinking, guys?
I would say to wait.
Yeah, I think if we had an executive director too, that could attend some of the meetings, it might be better to discuss it then.
Put it on the agenda for December.
Or
I can move it to December. Got it. All right. Any committee reports? Well, I should say, are there any other officer reports? Mandy, Jeannie, I have nothing.
No,
Okay. Committee reports, finance or governance?
No.
Okay, we talked a lot about Club Street, so we'll move on. All right, old business. I did send a draft of a TI Sun article, which will probably end up being an editorial. That's what they did to us last time, which would be looking for Joe's replacement since he is not looking to renew to a 3-year term. I think you all have had a chance to look at that. I need a motion and a second in agreement to publish that.
Motion, Jeannie.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
All right. All right, 501c3, we did, I did try to keep you guys informed via email. We did send everything that they needed. The attorney's office is still looking. The big thing was the one application for loans that they gave us was 53 pages long. So I called the IRS, spoke to the boss of the guy who sent us the letter, who was out on leave. He said there was no way they wanted us to fax them 53 pages. I was pleased to hear that. So we did send them an outline or the table of contents. He felt that would be sufficient. I haven't heard anything back. We sent it on Friday. It wasn't due until the Monday. Also, the attorney's office is looking to get us a scaled down loan application for our files, but I do not have that yet. And honestly, I haven't been chasing it because it didn't feel like it was urgent now. Did anybody have any questions on where we are on that?
Thank you for getting that done.
Oh, you're welcome. I've never been so glad to get a fax okay email and or notice out of a fax machine in my life. So good. All right.
Brody did take care of everything then? After
The
the last
only,
meeting?
yeah, I mean, the only thing is he was definitely, the whole loan application where we thought he could just pull something off didn't seem to be the case. And what I said to him is he had an assistant attorney looking at stuff. And I said, just get it to us when you can. So if the 501c3 people come back, so I'll probably wait until next week when I'm home and just reach out to him to find out where we are, because it would be good to sort of close that. But his recommendation is, if at some point in the future, we actually want to give somebody a loan, to run it through a tax attorney, which probably makes good sense. All right, grant communication process, Mandy and Bill.
You go ahead, you're
Okay.
the answer to the form.
Oh, so, based on conversation we had, last time, because we're kind of fit to be tied on, kind of looking to the future is how do we budget, who's doing what? on the town, the village, the LDCs. We just kind of figured this whole thing out, because this is kind of the year of transition. And Scott's time and everybody's time, to be quite honest. And so the idea was, after that meeting, a small group, less than a quorum, and not one of the subcommittees, I just want that for the record, got together to go ahead and discuss it. And what's kind of the best way? And so the idea was this form that you see proposed in front of you. And then at the town and the village boards, kind of present that, because in this year of transition, we're used to kind of doing things the old way. But the town and village wanted to form the LDC, and we're kind of in this weird status right now. And so to really kind of open the communication, said this is the problem we have. Okay, and this form hopefully will help get after who is communicating what, okay, as we transition, because the LDC eventually, the idea is for the LDC to kind of be the arbiter of these things. And so this will have kind of the bridge as we work those relationships and kind of change that. And that's really the genesis of that form.
Looks really good.
So
It's very clear and to the point.
So I think if everyone's good with it, what we need to do next is to get it, either have a meeting with the town and village boards to make sure they're good, that we can start utilizing it. As I think, you know, we right now, we're not sure with Scott's time and everything, but that's gonna be a continued thing, because there's a lot of grants that only the town and village can apply for. And they're gonna have specific things that we're gonna need from them, and, you know, Scott's time back and forth. So I think that's something, you know, I don't think it's something we're only gonna have to deal with for the next year until we get our 501(c)(3). It's gonna be continuous. So
Yeah.
we wanna make sure everybody
agree.
is on board with it.
I think this is very well done.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah,
Good job.
great.
And for the email that I sent to both Pam and Dan, you know, for what was coming up in 24, you can kind of see a few of the questions that I asked are questions from that form, where I had sent you guys so we could figure out what both entities were planning for 24. And I believe, Mandy and Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we get our 501(c)(3) and we are in fact planning to apply for a grant, we would fill this form out as well and give it to both entities. So, you know, every one of the three entities, when they fill out the form, the other two get it.
Yeah.
So everybody knows what everybody else is doing.
Right.
Right.
And that I think will help with the transparency that was part of what Jeannie was finding out with the businesses. They don't know about us. We don't know what they don't know what the town's doing. They don't know what the village is doing. At least if all three boards can communicate clearly, that might start helping some of those issues. Maybe, we can hope.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any concerns with us trying to move forward with this?
No,
Just administrating it and enforcing it,
Yeah.
not getting off the side. That's gonna be the hard thing, is getting in the habit of having the town and village do this for us.
Yeah.
Which, Scott, you're gonna have to help us with that, because we know that old habits die very hard, so.
Well, and I think too, that we can also enlist Mary and Michelle, right? Because they do the minutes, and this would be good for them as well to say, you know, I'm making
If they
sure all
know
the
it's
questions get answered.
requirement, it'll come, yeah.
I would foresee them almost filling it out during the meeting, and being like,
Mhm.
okay,
Exactly.
pay and sign, yeah, they would hopefully help
Yeah.
facilitate it.
So how do we roll it out then is the next question.
So the idea in the discussion was to actually present this at the town and the village boards. So this is kind of the problem that begat the form.
Mhm.
And this is what we're trying to kind of prevent. One, and then two is information sharing, as we kind of transition. And then information share, like Mandy was talking about, there's gonna be some items that only the town and the village can do, but we'll want to know about it. And then as we start our status and start things, clearly the village and the town are gonna have to know, because it's city right in their footprints, and we exist because the town and village wanted this to exist. And so that's to help facilitate that. And it's to help change the culture, which is the hardest thing to change, to Jeannie's point. And so, and we're all part of that solution. We may be part of the problem, we may be part of the solution, but hopefully this is a way to kind of get that going. That's the idea anyway.
I think this should work well. I feel like it will. So did somebody from this group want to go to the one of our meetings, or should we take it back with Foreman?
No, unless something has changed, what we discussed was we would go to the town and the village meetings and then present it. And I was the lucky contestant that was chosen to go ahead and speak to those boards. And I just have to confirm the actual dates, because I can't remember if the town or the village has 2 meetings on the calendar and the other one has 1. So it's just picking and choosing which is the best one to go to. And I can't remember which entity has 2.
We meet the first and the third Thursdays.
Okay, is one better than the other, Dan?
One is a work session, the first Thursday is a work session.
Okay.
Public meeting probably be better, Michelle's there with minutes,
Is that the third one?
third Thursdays,
Okay, I can do that.
that way it's all on record,
So how does he get on the agenda for the meetings?
you just show up. Or I can tell Michelle you're coming either way, but I mean, we have public comment and I can let her know.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
I think that's the best process.
Okay.
To go and present it and say this was part of our discussion and we feel this is gonna be helpful moving forward. For sure.
And we're the 2nd and the 4th Tuesdays.
Oh, okay.
But in November and December, we don't typically have the 2nd noon.
Okay.
Because they fall on the holiday weeks. So the 14th
Of November.
November
Yep.
would be good.
Perfect.
December 12th.
So I will be 14 November
Okay.
for the village and
Yep.
the 3rd Thursday for the town.
I'll let
Yeah.
Mary know.
That's easy.
Nice.
I will let you know, we're already working on a town application, reached out to Ron Craft about the restoring York, it has not been announced yet. I'm expecting it to be announced in the next week, or the last week, I don't know what's holding it up. But the town, so it's one that the municipality has to be the lead on, but, the owner pays the 10% share, so Mr. Clapp would be responsible for 10%. Have included Marty and Paul on all the emails, and we're trying to set up a Zoom meeting with Ron and his architect engineer right now. So.
I'm sorry, Scott, you're hard to hear on the Zoom. What was the first part of what you said? I caught the end.
Marty and Paul are copied on the emails. We're trying to coordinate a Zoom meeting with Ron and his engineer, architect, so we could at least have the discussion on what they have available for plans and specs and proposed budget to submit. The applications will probably be due in January timeframe. But there are steps the town has to take a lot sooner than that. There's got to be a public hearing, public notice, all that kind of thing, so.
What the part I couldn't hear was what grant? I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear that part.
Restore New York through Empire State Development.
Restore New York. Okay, thank you. I couldn't hear you. All right, do we need a motion to put forward the communication grant process to the town and the village, please? Can I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Mandy, and a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, next up, Bill, board evaluation status.
Okay, so this is a follow-on to our last meeting. And so all 9 board members filled out this form and sent it to me. It's confidential, anonymous, so there should be no attribution on any of these comments. I won't read them the whole 9 yards, but I mean, the first one, I think we're generally in agreement, kind of to the left side of the agree and disagree. We got some work to do on the second one for the policies and decisions, et cetera, to get those more to the left-hand side. And the next 2, we're generally in concurrence that we're doing a pretty decent job in that. On the 5th one, as far as the clear and measurable performance goals for the corporation, we're actually farther to the right. So we need to work on that as an LDC. One of the members suggested the strategic plan should help, and I think that's general consensus because I've heard that mentioned the previous, and I think even one before that, just to kind of help provide that framework and structure, which I think will help get after that. The next one, I think we have discussed that at the last meeting, and I think we're all in consensus to kind of work on that right there. On the next one, which is the communication effectively, that's a little bit spread out, both from the agree and the disagree. So some work there to go ahead and do. And it just comes down, I think, to just communication and just, well, getting used to each other as board members and everything like that. And hopefully stabilization and setting the board to go ahead and have those members here for a long time. So moving on down, generally agreement for the knowledgeability and the reviewing and approval of all the documents. Generally, the board members believe that we do a pretty decent job, as well as the statutory obligations of the board. Now, the facilitation of the open, deliberate meetings and thorough discussion, et cetera. There was a wide variance on that. Again, some work needs to be done that to kind of get that over to the agree or someone agree of the board. And then working on down for the sufficient opportunity to, research and discuss, or the delaying of votes and stuff like that. Generally, the board members felt that we do a pretty decent job and agree with those comments right there. The next one, and it made sense because some people answer and some people put not applicable. And I had actually answered just, to attribute myself to it. I had actually put a score in one of them, but it made sense for those who put not applicable because we're probably not to that point yet to really address that particular question about the oversight of the CEO, because that would be the equivalent of the executive director. And we're just kind of working it right now as we form with our appointed officers. The next one, as far as the risk and stuff, again, spread out and wide variance with one comment of that we're too new to probably assess this. And that's probably a true statement based on the comments, as we've identified those things. We don't know what we don't know. We discuss them here in the board. Sometimes we go after and get after some questions that we might have in the panel, or lean to Scott for some answers just based on his experience. And that's probably true. And I think over time, as our knowledge base increases, that will kind of shift left. And the last one, definitely a wide variance on that one, ranging anywhere from probably the one comment about the strategic plan, as well as the aforementioned kind of communication issues. And, once we get the strategic plan together, and the framework, as well as the working together with each other, I think those will shift over time, would be my, Bill's assessment, not anything that was on the feedback itself. And then we had one comment that didn't quite fit any of those boxes, which I added at the end. I pretty much cut and paste these comments as I got them. I might have changed a word here, word there, just to kind of shorten the box we're looking at, but it did not dilute any of the meaning of any of the comments themselves. So this is the feedback for the board. I believe we have to, one, do these, and two, maintain them as a public entity. So they're sitting on the Google Drive, for those you saw my email, in just a new folder. And since we do these annually, that's where I'll dump these every year, or whoever does this in the future. That's all I have for this particular one.
Any questions for Bill?
No.
Bill, thank you for coordinating this. I apologize. I did not get a chance to look at this ahead of time, so I might have questions after. I reserve the right if I can, please, because I was in the car.
Sure.
Thank you. All right. Next up is publicity plan. Jim, I know you were traveling internationally. Do you have any update on that?
Sadly, I don't, and I only got back a week ago, and it was for 15 days. So and I'm still jet lagged, to be honest with you. But I have my notes from it, and just to clarify one thing, because when I was looking at preparing for the meeting, was I to call Clayton
No, I called Clayton. So
Okay.
that was my, and I thought I had that somewhere on the agenda. Anyway, so we'll do it now. So I took the to-do to talk to the executive director of the LDC in Clayton and also the Clayton Improvement. It's one person that does both of those jobs. We had an excellent discussion. She will be at our December 14th meeting, and which I think will be great. She's very willing to work with us. They have just, and I think I had told a few of you that when I was on one of those free New York State webinar things, they talked about a housing study that Oswego had done and how beneficial they found that piece of research to be. I sent the mayor emails. I tried calling him a couple of times, never got an answer back. However, Clayton did hire someone to do a housing study. They are willing to share that with us. And they even said that some Cape Vincent facts are in there because they use that as a comparison entity. So she's willing to share that with us at their expense. She had just gotten the report and hadn't had a chance to look it over, but she was definitely very willing to work with us and talk with us. And so I think we'll find, I told her we did not need a formal presentation for December, but she has already accepted the meeting. And so I think that'll be a good dialogue. So Jim, I can either put you on December, or if you prefer, I can wait and put you on January's agenda again. Would that make more sense for January?
I'm just thinking I'd rather do it sooner than later, because there's a couple of other things, just a couple of thoughts that maybe we haven't done before that we want to do for the first time. And that might be, it's a common thing to sort of do a year in review type of thing that could be made into sort of a newsy type of thing, or an interview with someone on the board. And that's two parts. It's always year in review and year ahead. And it might be something that might make some fodder, on, well, certainly also for the site as well, but it could end up being something that the TI Sun would want to do. And then the other thing was related to the conversation that you're having with the people in Clayton about how we would approach the potential of the issue of the ferry, and how Ontario or Kingston intend for themselves to promote a Canadian company, the ferry. That might be something that we could help on that on our side, to make this something more of a package that they could participate in, and make it a little bit of a regional thing that's good for them and their ferry operation, as well as Kingston. But maybe for both Clayton and Cape Vincent, it could be good, as a back way around the 81 corridor coming in to here. And so maybe I can talk to you separately in the next couple of days about that conversation. And then I'd like to shoot for the 14th and get these things done to report for the 14th.
Okay, that's fine. What we'll do is I'll put you on the agenda for the 14th. I'm out of town until after the weekend. So
Okay. Next week.
we can talk next week would be great.
Okay.
Okay, great. Next up, Jeannie, focus group survey update.
So I sent everyone that small presentation. I had not sent it out yet because I got, thank you, Mandy and Mary, for your feedback. I appreciate it. But just wanted to get everybody's opinion before I publish this. And then I thought, even Joe, if we wanted to throw it up on the website, that's everyone's decision. It was pretty much a summary of what we did with the joint village and town board. I sized it down significantly, but just wanted to get people's input before I do publish it, because I want to be careful that all board members are informed and feel comfortable with what's going out. And this is going to go to the business group that participated in the focus group. They're the ones who I committed that I would give them the feedback.
Is this the one that you sent out that is the PDF document that had, oh, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 pages on it and had all the contact info and the names at the end? Or is this different?
That was the New York Forward one, I think.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, that's New York Forward.
Yeah.
That's
like
a
30
different,
or
that's a,
50.
Yeah,
that was
okay.
very informative,
Pam
by
sent
the way.
Right.
Pam
Oh,
sent
okay.
that. Yeah, that's separate from this. This is
Did
just.
you send us the one you're discussing?
Yeah, it was like
Yes.
this PowerPoint.
Okay.
It was an
Four
independent
pages, 5
one.
I'm sorry I didn't get back to you. I didn't have a chance to read.
No, it's fine. I just am I'm not gonna send something out on behalf of the board until everyone has the time to view it and understand it. It basically was just the summary of the business focus groups. That was
Right.
that was the content that was of value. And I identified the board members because so people know who we are. And then I think there was pull it up too.
Were you hoping that it was gonna go out after this meeting?
Yes, that was my goal.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize I.
That's okay.
Either.
I can bring it up, Carol.
Yeah, Jeannie, I thought it was good, as I said in my email. I don't know that I put it up on the website yet. And my only reservation on that is I think we have more focus groups to do, and I don't want people to think we're done. That would be the only hesitation I would have on the website.
Yeah.
And I know while people are looking at that, I know, Pam, you're trying to get the PowerPoint presentation, right? From the New York Forward stuff, because that was more,
Yes.
I know you asked for that.
I did request it. haven't heard back from them. I'll send them another email tomorrow.
Thank you. Yeah, because looking at all the words is hard. Looking at a word cloud is a lot easier.
Right.
So that would be great. And I do have to say that I really would like I feel really strongly that we should look at finding a way to send the survey, the New York Forward survey, out to all town residents. Because although some town people responded to the survey, I think that it would behoove us, again, as a way, even though it would be a mailing and we would have to mail it and that would be an expense, right? Or we, mail it and say, here's a copy, mail it back to us, or go on our website and fill it out. Either way, I feel like the invitation didn't go to the town people. And I think that we represent both entities. So I would really like us to not put that on the back burner.
Mary, on the C3 status, will it change? This goes to the cost of mailing. As a nonprofit, do you get a better mail rate by sending it out by mail to people as opposed? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I don't know. I mean, my hope is that it would be some way that maybe we could mail it through the town because they would have the mailing addresses of the town, which we
Okay.
do not have.
Yes.
That was kind of my hope.
And they mail at that reduced rate, right? I forget what it's called, right?
I
Anything
would think so, Dan, don't they?
It's probably a bulk rate, and if we'd have to, maybe we'd have to just pay the town for what we
Yeah.
spent on. But I would advise not sending it in the mail. People they're not gonna respond on paper.
Well, no, but it's how else would we, are you thinking just do it via Facebook or something? Because I don't know how you
That's
get
how did
everybody.
how did the village put it out? That's where I saw it.
I just,
On the website,
links on-
the links, the same way that they did. I just think it'll be a waste of money, but that's my opinion. People aren't gonna mail it back. People don't return stuff.
Well, no, I'm not even saying I'm saying you would include a hard copy for those people, but the letter would direct them to a website.
Oh, okay.
So it's just something that would be, if we could put in people's water bills or something, something we know they're going to open up is my
bills, county tax bills are coming, right?
yeah.
If you don't want it, how did New York Forward, how did that survey, how was that administrated? Was that website or was?
Yeah.
It was, so how did they publish an announcement and then you could go on a website and fill it out?
Yes.
Okay.
But they also had hard copies at the thing they had at Rec Park, because I know there were hard copies as well.
That little business card with a QR code on it.
Oh, that's
Oh, that you could do your phone.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking if it worked for them. I thought the sample was fairly large.
Yeah.
I really liked the data. I thought it had some validity. There's no question. I mean,
I don't know how they send it. I think I learned about it from this meeting here. And then I went ahead because I thought somebody brought the information here. I had not heard of it, anywhere else.
Yeah,
Not
I
the
think
post
I thought
office,
from a,
email.
Cape Vincent Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, that's where I saw it.
share.
Yeah,
It was I saw it on the
On
Cape
Facebook.
Vincent Chamber Facebook and then their weekly email.
I mean, so this kind of gets to the things we've talked about, and I think what Jim's alluding to, it's like, you know, there's no one right way. You know, if
Right.
we advertise this corporation or anything like that, or we want to do surveys, it's got to be a multi-prong approach, both in digital forms, and it could be some analog stuff like, hey, we prefer if you go to this URL and do it here, but here's a copy of it. You can go ahead and snail mail it back to us because
Right, or drop it off at the town office or whatever, and I'll pick them
Because
up. like pick
I
up
don't
our
know
mail.
how, I'll be honest with you, I don't know how things get advertised in the town and the village. I've learned to go to the What's Happening, the town and village websites, and quite frankly, the post office. I look on that board right there where I get a lot of information, but I don't get much digitally, as far as like, you know, pushes to me and email or something like that. So I don't know exactly what the communication strategy is, but I tend to just get it at like 3 different locations.
I
So
don't think there is a communication strategy.
Yeah, and
I
so
mean,
that's kind of what we're gonna have to kind of wrestle with, is like, how do we get, nobody knows what the LDC is.
Right.
So how do we do that? And it's gonna have to be multi-pronged, is really what it's gonna have to be. It's really putting ourselves out there, or a survey, or projects, or whatever the heck it is over the next few years. Whether it be through the chamber, the town and village sites, and Facebook, and God knows what else, but there's gonna have to be some analog stuff too. Because we're hitting on some of the things we've talked about, and I think what Jim's kind of thinking about, given his background. But whatever it is, it will have to be multi-pronged, to be quite frank.
Yeah,
So,
if I could
yeah, go
follow
ahead,
up,
Jim.
yeah, just to follow up on that. Multi-pronged is a good way of describing it. Sometimes when you have an organization that's local, and oddly enough, it's perhaps not well known because it's eclipsed by a council or commission. Sometimes a way to surface, mail is not terribly efficient for response. I have to say that in general, but sometimes it's like the periscope that pierces the water a little bit once, and it surfaces often at year end or year ahead. And a mailing, if you can get that really bulk rate type of thing, or there's another category for it as well. A mailing can surface, and you can talk about the year behind and the year ahead to the extent you do. And in that letter, a mail, it would have to be mail, or it should be mail. You put in all the levels of access here about these things, either about us and about other things. So what does it do? Well, it's an inexpensive one-time shot to let everybody know you're alive and breathing and thriving on what you want to do. You're an entity. And then you piggyback on a lot of, cooperatively piggyback on a lot of things that the town may do and where you see fit. We do this a lot of times with utilities around the country. We piggyback into their bills. I wouldn't want to put one of our things on a county tax bill thing, because we want to stay away from taxes. You know, we want to be the good news and the vision purveyors of everything that's going on here. And then it goes a little bit to sort of cultivate the online side, because people really are getting more sophisticated in that regards. And I'd suggest that at one point we think maybe about the start of the year, we do a year end and a year ahead in one letter. Consider it a mailing that might be out under the C3 provision for reduced mail, or something in cooperation with the town. I can help with the content if you want, but I don't see this as a normal mailing. I don't see this as a mailing that would occur, maybe not for another year, frankly. But the last thing is, I would suggest when you talk to anybody that participates in these focus groups, to really treat them quite special. There'll be a temptation, I think, to mail them because you think you have them. Email because you think you have them. But these are sort of the leaders of the pack a lot of times in a community. And when you treat them special, they really like it. And information, you can never do overload with these people. It's a much, much smaller group, right? But you'll see that the contact frequency becomes almost an emotional thing with these kinds of groups. And they like to see that they've been responded to. And I think I sat in on some of the focus groups. There's a distance in communication here with those people, with those businesses and the like. So we might want to bifurcate that clearly from the wholesale communication thing to something you focus a little more tightly on in frequency and the type of communication that goes to them. Because it's not that big a world. What is it, 100 at the end of the day? Something like that, 100 or so. So I would just say on the general thing, just to follow up on the conversation here, that, and we'll, on the 14th, maybe I have more bones to this for you as well, but I might want to think in that vein, going back to the mailings aren't efficient. But when you're in a place like this, it might be good to do it surface like this for once. And then the rest of the things you do, hit people who at least know what you're about. And those things cost no money. They're moved by electrons, not stamps.
So Jim, maybe when you and I, because I don't want to totally sideline poor Jeannie on her question, which was, can she send this to the people that she's already focus grouped on? So sorry about that. But just one final question, Joe, could we duplicate the New York Forward survey on our website and use our website to collect data? Is that possible to do?
Yeah, I'll look at the best way to do it. It'd be better if it was on our website opposed to just a link in a news article, someone has to click to go somewhere else.
Right. Yeah.
So, I think it'll be good.
Can we do?
Yeah, if you could just look at that. I
Even
was
if
gonna say,
it's not through a program, just, it looks like a survey, it is
Yeah.
a survey and it's just collected internally and we just have the data opposed to Survey Monkey or something.
yeah,
I can make
yeah,
it
like a
from
Survey
scratch,
Monkey thing.
have our own survey.
Now, back to Jeannie's question, I don't know, I'm looking at this. This would update the people who you met with, and it's
Yes.
our meeting that we had in a public meeting.
Right.
So what is the harm of you sharing that with the group?
I just want to make sure everyone's comfortable with the content.
I don't have a problem. I'm sorry, I missed your email. I looked at it here, so I don't have a problem with the content. I looked at it, so.
All right, so to close out that, I think Jeannie is looking for a motion and a second on being able to send that to the focus group participants. May I have a motion
I'll motion.
and a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Anybody opposed? And then, because I totally took us off tact, I will talk with Jim and we'll come with some kind of proposal around the survey to the town for folks to vote on how we might get that out. And then, Joe, if you could just let me know the best way to, and I think Mandy said she knows, she's got Survey Monkey or whatever, because we use that for childcare. So you can let us know what the best way is to go about that. Okay, great, thank you.
I don't have Survey Monkey, you have to pay for it. So.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you had said that, but yeah, so Joe, just let us know what you think. Okay, so Jeannie, you're good to go on that. Dan, town activities.
The fence exhibits have been approved by New York State Parks and also the National Park Service, so.
Okay.
Bid documents are being printed, should be out to bid this week or next.
I'm sorry, Scott, could you speak up? It's just really hard to hear you on this.
The bid documents are being printed now and it should be out to bid this week or next from BCNA, the engineering firm.
Okay.
Probably a 3-week turnaround on bids at least.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Dan?
nothing.
Okay, sorry, I couldn't hear him. Pam?
No, we had our ribbon cutting ceremony. That was the big deal for the month, I guess. And otherwise, just business as usual.
All right, good, thank you. Joe, anything on the website?
I added the 2024 budget from the Paris Agreement on there. Scott said today that he has some really nice pictures, drone shots of East End Park. So I'll add that to the projects page and put that up. in the next week or so. Before my time slips away. And then I'll look at the town survey and I was thinking of changing the Tibbetts Point picture to a more of a splash page, so it cycles through things. So instead of people
nice.
having to go through, like if there's a new news article we post or an opening, they could start with Tibbetts and then kind of move, so it's right there in front of you people. I don't know how many people look at the news page and look around the website. Not many, according to the analytics, so to make it easier for people, put everything up front, at least for now, until we do a big marketing push.
And just on that marketing push in the website, the Cape Chamber that sends out their weekly blast, that would be a great spot to
Yeah.
say, hey, are you familiar with or something?
A
Oh, yeah.
link
Yeah.
if-
Well,
good
to
idea.
Jim's idea, I think it should be coordinated, so if
Yeah,
we do.
yeah, so
January
that should just be a
1st,
piece of.
we'll talk
that
to
whole plan.
Christie, everything at the same time, one big blast, let everyone see it at once.
Because right now, we're the only ones that really know about it. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Mandy, anything on childcare?
No, nothing, no.
Okay, okay, French Festival funding, I think the question that, Dan brought forward, he forwarded us some information that he got at the French Festival meeting. Pam also forwarded us some information. There was a date issue on that, which confused me, but she cleared it up for me. So I think Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, the request is that we give $20,000 to French Festival and the town gives 5 and the village gives 5. Is that the request on the table?
Total of 20. I think the town would pony 5. We're hoping the village would pony 5 if we could come up with 10. They're looking for.
Oh,
20.
okay. For some reason I thought it was 20. So thank you for that clarity.
They're
So
Yeah.
discussion, what do people think?
Dan said at the last meeting, I believe it was Dan, that he was going to have a conversation to see their finances about whether they can, whether we're raising the river or they're lowering the bridge to find out what expenses are.
I think that's what Pam sent us, Jim. You may not have seen the note from Pam.
Oh, no, I didn't.
It was the
I
dates
know
that
the
messed me up when I looked at what Pam sent.
Right. So there still wasn't a combined budget per se for 2024. It was 2 separate documents. I did ask Nicole if she had anything more updated and didn't hear back from her.
Wasn't there also a discussion?
So I guess
about use a potential grant that we could pursue on their behalf,
Yeah, I said we could reach out to
The local one.
Northern Community Foundation for the Jefferson County Fund.
Northern New York.
Northern New York Community Foundation has money from the county from ARPA funds to do for nonprofit charities that promote economic development. Which that's economic development, you're bringing thousands of people into the community. If you want me to reach out to them, I can.
So I guess the question was, Scott, just give me clarity. I think we decided at the last meeting, the chamber itself couldn't pursue that because they weren't a 501c3, nor could we because we are not one yet either, right?
Yeah, but I think I can reach out to them and see. The other question is the French Festival a 501c3?
I can't imagine that it would be.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but I don't think so.
but could we, by the time the French Festival needs the funds, if we are certified, then we could potentially,
And the Northern New York Community Foundation is a rolling grant. I mean, it's not like a
It's rolling
deadline.
grant.
So
so,
as soon as you get the 501, like I could reach out to them and say, hey, can we have the application done and ready for you to award pending our 501c3 approval?
and
Is it a blanket amount? Can we ask for the 20 or is it just 10?
I think it's $10,000 cap.
But that at least.
So
cover our-
the one thing I was thinking about this was that, do we, because I think the thing is and Dan, correct me and Pam, because you were at the meeting. They want to guarantee that they're going to have the money or they're in trouble to run the festival. Is that true? They would want to guarantee that they're going to get the 20 between the three entities. Is that correct?
Well, they asked the town and village. They don't have any knowledge of our board. My board asked me if we would be interested or be capable of trying to raise some of it. So
Does the town village give them money now?
We already give them 17,500, and they want an additional 5,000 from us.
Okay.
Do you give that directly to them or do you give it through the chamber
It goes
directly to them?
to the chamber, I believe, for specific events.
the town gives,
Breakdown.
I think it's 30
Right.
And they're asking for another,
to the chamber.
for the not for the French
That's
festival.
correct.
Okay. And yours is 17.5 for the chamber or for
For the
French
chamber.
festival?
For the
Okay.
chamber.
Oh, so that's to run the chamber and their,
In chamber functions, yeah.
Right,
We may cover
You will, I'm
bathrooms
sure.
or, we may pick something and give the French Festival Committee, once they give us a bill, we may cover a certain item, but
Well, you have probably in-kind services too that the village and town crew do for that week leading up.
certainly don't.
Yeah,
Yeah, the village.
yeah.
Mhm. So I'm looking at the budget items, which they have the 2022 cost, but not 2023. So they probably could update that.
Well, it is the 23, the column headers are wrong.
Yeah, that's what messed me up
Oh, okay, I
here.
missed that. Okay,
Well, I asked her to clarify that, that's what she said, and I think on your copy, you had marked off one of them, and
Yeah.
I had asked her about it at the meeting, and I marked off mine, but I couldn't find it.
And I don't think what they presented at the meeting that we were at is real definitive. I think it's kind of, they're talking about security, we think it's gonna be this. I don't think they
And I
really,
think they went high, they put a
I
lot
hope
of
they went high.
requirements.
Yeah,
in
$10,000 projected.
I don't know if it's
for one day.
actually gonna be as high as that, but.
I don't either.
So
But
it is a $10,000 cap on that one.
So I guess the question to Dan and Pam, because you guys were in the meeting, do we have a sense of urgency that we have to make a decision on this? I kind of felt like the last meeting we did, but now I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't think it's urgent, but I think if we are interested in doing anything, I think it would be good to convey that back to our boards and see if the village will pony up an additional 5 and see if the town would do the same for an additional 5.
And we did talk about it at the village board, and we're not opposed to, we have to figure out where to pull that money
Where to
from.
find it, yeah.
But we
I
did
get it.
agree in concept to it. Our budget starts in April, May, and is finalized for June, so we're gonna work on that, but we also talked about needing to have another meeting very soon with the town and the village and the chamber to see where they're at, because they need to do more actively, in our mind, about the French Fest too, and get the information out there and start looking for help, like you talked about doing the articles.
Right.
They can't start in April,
Right.
and it's gotta start soon. so-
I would suggest that we have Scott look in to see what the criteria is for this grant. And then I would ask that when you request a meeting,
Mhm.
that somebody from this board comes to represent the
Yeah.
development committee. Because we also, again, about the transparency of stuff in Cape, I think that'll help. And I'm not opposed to providing some support, especially if we can get the grant and
Right.
doing that.
And additionally, in the next round of the consolidated funding application, if we have a 501c3 by then, we could apply for Market New York, which could get funds for the chamber to market a number of program functions. So we could help supplement their budget with grant funding, and then they could use that money to help. That won't be awarded till the fall or winter of December, January of 24-5, so that would be money for their 25 budget. So if we get them this in the short term for 24,
Right.
we could
Right.
plan on getting them something for 25 through the chamber maybe.
Right.
As Market New York, and they can help them promote other events too, but we can help supplement their current budget, which would free up money to support other events.
That's actually a very good thing, because the consensus of the board was to go ahead and use the chamber site to go ahead and be the
Right.
site for Cape Vincent. The challenge right now is the fact that it doesn't have everything on it because of really the business model that it uses. So if you contribute to it, generally your items will be listed. If you don't, they're excluded. What we want is an all-inclusive site, so that additional funding would then change their funding model, which was a good thing. That's a very good thing.
Yeah, so we can apply for that. I would hope we have our 501c3 by, they're due the last Friday in July. So I mean, we could apply for that next year and give them money for their 25 budget.
Is anybody on the chamber board? Any of us?
So I'll contact Northern New York Community Foundation tomorrow and just get some feedback and see if we can even start the application process and just say, hey, pull the application so we
Yeah.
get certified 501c3 and submit it.
Yeah, and I think we just keep it on the agenda for next month, and maybe we'll have more answers.
Okay, great. All right, good. Next, new business, board administrative assistant, Mandy.
So when Bill and when we met about talking about the grants process, we had also kind of talked about, last meeting, we weren't sure that we needed an executive director, was kind of what was floating around here. So we kind of brainstormed some ideas for potentially looking at a clerk position that would relieve Mary from some of the duties that she's doing. Maybe pick up some of the website stuff if moving forward, relieve some of everybody's stuff. So what we had done is it took the executive director position that we had, and there's some stuff on here that I just noticed too, that it still has executive director, but it needs to say clerk. So, and just kind of looked at like some of the position overview, what that position would entail, and kind of got something on paper to see if this is something we want to pursue instead of an executive director, and then potentially when the board is fully ready for an executive director, eventually having the clerk phase out, or we haven't even really discussed that too much of what everyone's ideas. So, thoughts on looking at this, potentially moving forward with a clerk instead of an executive director. So
That's instead, oh, I'm sorry.
yes, would be
Yes.
instead.
Because the genesis of it, Jim, was the concern whether or not there was enough going on right now to rate an executive director, and then there was associated cost of money in the whole 9 yards, and that kind of led to, well, okay, if we truly believe we're not ready for an executive director, could we use the existing volunteer structure we have, but go ahead and pay a clerk to relieve a lot of administrative stuff that Mary is doing out of pocket. And then that would be the kind of the in lieu of, and it would be, well, arguably cheaper than having an executive director. That's it kind of in a nutshell. That's the idea.
Right.
Got
The other driver obviously is, Joe is leaving us, and every time we say website, my stomach goes into knots because, Joe does all of that. And so this administrative person could pick up, I know Joe won't leave us high and dry, and if we have
Yeah, I'm not
technical
gonna-
questions, but
I'll
he's
keep
not going to
updating.
need somebody to be able to put up the minutes and all that. I mean, once he's not on the board, it would be great to have someone who could do some of that stuff.
So with the concern of the latter for a second, something surprising that I found in the last year or two, which I never would have believed when I was running a company that was an IT company, is the amount of abilities of high school juniors and seniors who want an association either as an intern a full hour, a lot of hour intern, right? Or potentially a side job. And that is their ability to do online stuff is unbelievable, more than I ever imagined. I have friends who have created LLCs, and a lot of them in their retirement and the like, and they are in this situation. They can either hire a clerk or a real full administrative assistant, but so much of this work now is online stuff that they need to do. They've been hiring literally from high school communication programs in their places, and some college ones as well. People who are highly proficient in the technical abilities of posting, listing, content development, all that type of stuff that eats a lot of work of administrators and people like us, right? And they do it very well, and it's very, very inexpensive. And if that's a path, it might allow that part, which is the big angst part that we all have, right, to be taken care of under some supervision, perhaps even by you, but it could affect that which you want to hire a clerk for. If that's removed from that position, it makes the clerk price that much less. And then it's about filling, I hate to use the archaic term, secretarial side of administrative work, but it could mean it's reduced to that. And so the total budget thing to deal with both of these issues could be a lot lower, but it sort of meets it where it's hit, if you will, for what we want to do. So I would just throw that up because that's been a surprise to me, and I found that to be true myself about plucking high school juniors, seniors, or college people who want to do that on the side, have more time to do that. And by the way, community colleges turn out to be the best to get these people because they're already, most of them, technically proficient to begin with, but they also have technical sides to a lot of what they want to do at community college. That's the way it is down here in New York, New Jersey. So I've said my piece.
Thank you.
So, and looking at this document a little closer, I think the edits I made, they're not the one I printed, so I can send that to everybody. I apologize, but at least it kind of gives us the idea of what we were kind of brainstorming.
I think the one pause that I had, and I'm not sure how we would get this answer. So, if we looked at, something, and I'm throwing this out, $20 an hour position, part-time type deal. The one thing that I think would be a stumbling block to someone is the cost of the insurance. So what we put there is the cost. I mean, what we put there is what we had in the executive director. And obviously the executive director would be making more decisions where this person would be more administrative. When I priced it, it was about $1,200 a year, which I think would be cost prohibitive for someone who is working a part-time admin job. Anybody have any idea of how we would find out if we go forward with this, if we would have to include that level of insurance on an admin contractor position?
And could we include them on our policy instead?
Yeah, ours is more director insurance. So I don't know.
Because I got that one circled as well.
Yeah, that one just sort of worried me.
So Bill just handed me the one that I sent out. And so I'm sorry, this isn't the right document. So I'll send this to everybody. It has quite a few changes on it.
So maybe we could look into that for the next time. And then I have a question, Mary, about that email that well, I'm not sure what executive session is for tonight. Do we have a topic for?
That's talking about the agreement on our plan.
All right. And then you had sent out an email on Monday about that we have to post bid results for the RFP.
So that's about the executive director position, right? So we, as part of our process, when we put out the request for an executive director, we put it on that New York State website. They're saying the date for the applications is passed and we have to close it out. So I think we as a board have to decide if we are going to at this point in time, not hire an executive director. I believe there are applicants for that which would need to be notified, and we have to close it out on that website.
Is that process the same for anything that we do as an RFP? We have to do
That
that?
if we put it on that New York State website, yes.
All right.
My understand, I mean, it's the first one that we did, that we got this kind of thing, but they're looking for an answer.
And we have applicants that need a response.
Right.
Of some sort.
Exactly.
Do we move into executive session to?
I would just say before you,
Yeah.
we've had this discussion before, and some of your board members are new and weren't here for that. We've had the discussion of administrative versus an executive director. This board was formed to move it forward towards the economic development, increasing tourism, being a face for the community to bring in developers, to bring in businesses. I don't think you achieve any of that with a clerk. I'm not being.
And Scott, I don't think, at least in the discussion we had, we felt that the chair of the board could be the face of the board in those situations for free. And that where the chair could not be doing all of that stuff that's listed on that job description.
That's okay. I was just giving you my opinion. I don't think. it's-
Yeah, no, but I just
That's
to balance that.
And additionally, speaking with the town and the village, I don't think they're funding it to be a clerk. Just conversations we had the last time around.
Right, but they also don't think we're ready for an executive director, so they can't have both ends of it. I'm not trying to argue with you, but it's like,
No, I'm just
they
saying,
don't wanna, they don't.
you gotta go one way.
Yeah.
Just saying you gotta go one way or the other. You,
Right,
Yeah,
right.
right now, the idea was, it's probably for the next year. Because, right, it was the debate. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just saying either you're gonna jump in and make it work, or you're gonna delay it a year and will it work then? You know what I mean? We came so far, and I think either you're all in or you're not, and it's gonna reflect on your progress moving forward. That's just my thought. And helping you guys get to this point, and either you're jumping in or you're not.
Looking at this, I concur with Mary. The biggest concern that I have with these duties is the updating the website. Now, what we can do in that respect is to procure services from someone we know who would not be a board member, but could be a contractor on our behalf. And we could procure that until we get our strategic plan done and then move forward with the executive director. And that would be my record, because of everything else that's on here, maintaining minutes, you know, doing those things. I don't think, for me, doing minutes is not a big deal for me. I will do that on behalf of the board until you don't need that done any longer. But the big rub that we have is the website administration and caring for that. So I throw that out as an option, that we could procure a contractor, which we may know of someone who might be interested.
I don't mind doing the website. I mean, it doesn't take me long to do the minutes, and when I first made it, I made it in Squarespace, which is, it's not a bare bones, it's like a more visual point and click menu options. It's easy, very user friendly for anyone to update, with the idea of, if there comes a time where I'm no longer part, that I can make a document that anyone can follow to do the basics update. If you're gonna make pages and do things, it's still not difficult, but it's a little more.
Are you suggesting that after you resign at the end of your term, you would still help us with the website?
Yeah, if you wanna email me the same as we've been doing, minutes, videos, agendas. I could just keep doing
An
that for as
amazing
long
offer.
as you.
That's an
You need-
amazing offer.
Yeah, I don't mind doing that until you have a solution or a clerk and a director. I
I
could
like
train
that.
someone.
I think that is the piece of giving you
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah, that's a big
Yes.
part of it.
It is, and you've done a fabulous job.
Yeah.
And it's concerning.
Yeah, no, I can keep doing all the budgets, postings and.
I can keep having the files in the
Yeah.
dresser. I know they need to go up there, but I don't wanna go and set up a filing system. That's kind of bothering me a little bit, the filings, and not.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Or
I got
have some-
stuff, you got stuff. We
We've got
are not
definitely
buttoned up
some
on
stuff.
filing.
So,
We're gonna have a filing party
Yeah.
someday, is what's gonna have to happen, and everybody.
So
goes
I
out.
I guess the first question would be, is do we want a motion to say that we are going to table hiring an executive director and give Jeannie the authorization to go back to the applicants and tell them that we're not going to do that at this time? I think that's the first question on the table.
I think we should discuss it as a board.
Well, that's
We
the
wanna- we
discussion.
need
That's
to
what I'm trying to get that discussion.
Yeah.
Do we need to move into executive session?
I agree. I think we gotta go into executive session. There's so much effort and time that's been put into this position. And we really need to think it through. To be honest.
All right, then I guess I need a motion to go into executive session.
I motion that.
And can I have a second?
I'll second.
Right.
I'm
Scott,
gonna-
thank you.
I'm gonna hang out in the car. If you guys wanna talk or negotiate an executive, just come get me, cause I'd like to get somewhere tonight.
I don't know if we'll be there, but we'll try.
I'll hang out just in case, because.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pause the recording.
Yeah, you can stop the recording at this point because it's going to take a while it compiles.
No, I'm sorry. Are we gonna have to go ahead when we motion to come out of executive to authoritative?
I don't usually
Well,
do that.
don't
I think
care.
we're close enough.
Then I am stopping the sucker.
Second, that did come out.
Okay? All right, we're recording.
All right, we have come out of executive session. We had a motion to come out and a second to come out. The issue in front of the board is the extension of a contract with our planner. Jeannie, could you read the essence of that, and then we will do a motion and a vote.
Yes, so it is the board's intent to extend the current fee agreement inclusive of the down payment and the monthly fee. I won't specify that number because it's for public. For 6 months, which will commence January 1st to June 30th. And it is also the intention of the board to have the planner facilitate our strategic plan with a completion date of April 1st, 24, excuse me, April 1st, 2024. And that he will also provide the board a monthly project plan on the progression of our strategic plan. In addition to that, we will then commit to renegotiating an annual agreement with our planner for a commencement date of July 1st, 2024.
Thank you, Jeannie. Can we have a motion on that, please?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Bill. A second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? The motion is passed. Can I have a motion to go back into executive session?
Thank you, guys. I do.
Thank
Thank
you.
Aye. I'll do it.
Right, Bill, we in a second to go back into executive session.
Second.
Okay, Jim seconded. Could we stop the recording, please?
Do we bring Mary back in?
All right, there's that.
So we need a motion to table the executive director
Let's
RFP.
Second, let's see if I get Mary.
see Mary join, rejoins or.
And,
Hey, what's
I will
her-
send out the right clerk job description.
Thank you.
So everyone has that, so you can look at it for next. Sorry.
You're just gonna have her jump back in?
See
Okay,
if she's available.
okay.
Hi, Carol.
Hey, are you available to jump back in? We're coming out of executive session.
Sure.
Perfect.
Hang on, I gotta get back on Zoom.
Thank you.
Well, then I won't pull her in.
Number 2.
So you got, who's saying this, what our motion is here? You got it, Bill?
Oh, sure, yeah,
Really.
So basically, we're motioning to go ahead and shift the executive director until a later time.
And rework it.
And
Rethink it after.
rethink it and then notify the candidates.
Yeah, that we're doing so.
I'm here.
Hey, Mary, so we're recording again. And
Thank you.
so there's a couple of motions on the table after executive session, and please clarify if I mess this up. So basically, the first part of the motion is to go ahead, we're gonna go ahead and table or push the executive director down the road. And then related to that, or go ahead and notify the applicants that applied to that of the decision that quite frankly, there's no position for them to apply to anymore
At the time, given time.
at the time, correct?
Position will be closed.
Okay, can I ask, Joe, you have access to the posting on the New York State site. Can you and I figure out what we've got to do to close that out?
Yeah, sure.
All right, thanks. Yeah, take a look at the email that I forwarded, but we've got to close that out officially.
Okay, and Jeannie's gonna do notifications?
Yep.
Which will say that at this time we put that
Yes.
hiring on pause, the
Yeah.
position on pause.
It is no longer.
And our feeling is when we get our strategic plan,
We'll have a better idea.
we'll have a better idea of really what we want our executive director to look like. Which makes sense.
Mhm.
So we need a motion.
Do we need a motion?
Bill just-
Real motion.
Yes.
yeah.
Still made it.
So, okay, this second, great. Okay, so Bill and Mandy first and seconded that.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Bill and-
Everybody?
Yes.
I agree. Aye.
And I have to, and I recuse myself.
And you, yes.
Oh,
and there
yes.
is-
Yes.
Got it, Mary.
Yeah, and then on the clerk's position, we want that high on the agenda for next month to get a discussion really solid, move it on that one, because we understand that we have to take some burden and fix this.
Yeah.
All
And
right, excellent.
Mary-
I'll make sure that gets added. And does that need to be executive session or can that be open?
no, I think that can be.
No, I think that could be open, because all we're discussing is just reforming functions. Yeah, exactly.
Mary,
And
Could
Dan,
you
oh,
give
Dan
us-
actually mentioned someone that does it for some other boards that might actually be kind of.
Mike Nebbia's wife handles the planning and zoning board of appeals, and they absolutely love her. And,
Oh, that would be awesome. Can we?
She may be looking for some more income.
Yeah, would you guys be okay if I go to our insurance company and ask them what risk we have by taking the liability off an admin position?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, please.
Because I think Mary Ann would be the best person to give us advice and counsel on that. It feels to me like we don't need it, but I would like her to give us that input.
Mary,
Yeah, that's
can
great.
you also provide us an itemized list of the administrative functions that you are doing right now on behalf of the board?
Yeah, we-
I already have done that in the spreadsheet that Mandy used.
Okay.
That was
We always have
originally
that.
done by Pam and Sharon.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
So everything that's in there covers,
Okay.
is in the current proposed description is covers what I would need help with.
Okay,
Plus some stuff that's not getting done, like the filing.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Sharon might be-
All right, can we call it a night, ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Yes, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you all.
Yeah.
Now, let me thank you for handling all the technology tonight, guys. Thanks, everybody. We drove through the snow, but we are out of the snow, so
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
thanks, everybody.
Very good.
Bye-bye.
I like your jacket, Jim.
Oh, yeah. I got it at the Salvation Army place where all the GIs from the camp dump their stuff when they go overseas.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you should have just asked me. I got tons of that stuff. So,
I am literally.
Well, sometimes I wear one of the discarded t-shirts
Yeah.
that they leave.
yeah.
And they say things like Camp X and X Afghanistan, and I'll forget because it's a great t-shirt and someone will go,
No, they said you were gonna lock it up. Yes. All right. Hey, everyone have a good night.
Bye, everyone.
No, I'm sure he is. Bill, do you know, I think he is.
No, I'm good.